fair number of these about. These are Russian BMWs, Ural, from about the 1960s. This one's only firing on one cylinder. You can't get it to fire on both of them. It's an amazing piece of kit. Russo. But he's trying every plug under the sun. I suspect it's more than just a plug. I suspect it's something else. It's obviously, looking at it, I would think it's an early 1960s vintage. I mean, the sidecar chassis is something else. It's like built like a tank. So we've stopped here at this little place called Bayamo on our way to Santiago. That's the cathedral. It's just some wonderful buildings. A provincial museum. The whole place was burned down at various times during the wars with the Spanish and others. So most of it has been rebuilt. Again, great salesman's dream, this place. And this is the Plaza de la Revolution. And you can see on the back of this statue plinth, the cathedral in flames. During the war with the, I think it was the first independence war of the Spanish. It's amazingly quiet. There's very few people about. This is the main boulevard in Bayamo. It's a pedestrianised area which is becoming more and more popular apparently. It's a main shopping centre. Just parked in this back street in this town. This immaculate motor. They all have alloy wheels though, I notice. They probably might even have allowed an engine in, but anyway, the bodywork is looks really nice. A little quiet street in Bayamo, away from the main drag. Mind, the main drag's really quiet as well. These sort of balustrades, huge doors, and these great big long windows with the bars in front. Che Guevara everywhere. He was a big landowner and owned lots of slaves, and he released them all from slavery, and having released them, he asked them to join him in the revolution against the Spanish in the early 1800s. And this little sort of mural here depicts the release of the slaves, broken chains, and this man wrote the Cuban national anthem. And on this side it's the music, those of you who are musical. You'll probably tinkle that out on a piano. If you find somebody to tinkle it out on a piano, if you can't play, then you might be able to sing it. And these are the words. We're travelling between the last place and Santiago. We're quite high up here. There's some nice views across the countryside in this late afternoon sunshine. Well, there were. In front of a hole in a hedge. This looks like a large sugar refinery. It looks as if it might still be being used, although the chimneys aren't smoking. Just got this railway line up, which there are lots of them. Whether it's working or not, I don't know. No, I think it's a sugar refinery. Yeah, you can see these they will tell us.
So we are now running along the outskirts of the city of Palma Soriano, which is actually the second city within the province of Santiago. There to the right hand side, one of the closest sugar mills that we've seen.
Rolling stock. Sheds. First rolling stock I've seen, really. People walking all over the using the railways. Well, this is Santiago from the top of the Meliá Hotel. Mountains in the background. The sun's just gone down, unfortunately. I'm at the cocktail bar on the roof where they have a happy hour between 5 and 7. It's a big place. It's the second biggest city, I think, in Cuba after Havana. Some more quite high mountains. The one thing you notice is there are no skyscrapers. This is the only skyscraper in the place. It'll look better in the early morning sunshine, I suspect. I'll have to come back later. So this is Santiago de Cuba in the early morning. You can see that great big shadow there of the hotel on the 15th floor. There's nobody else about. And the mountains over there, and this lovely early morning light. One little. Not many people about yet. This is in Santiago de Cuba. This is General Mateo, one of the heroes of the revolution. This is his monument. Behind it are these steel blades which are meant to represent machetes. Sort of, when you run out of ammo, that's what you have to resort to. So here are the machetes, and there is the eternal flame for the heroes of the revolution from Santiago de Cuba. So there the 3-star generally was. That's what counts. And then these little sayings here by Maceo and Marte in Spanish, or Spanish-Cuban. The man himself behind. Like all cities, they had a Revolution Square. I don't know what it was called before, but that's what it is now, a Revolution Square. Very, very big. and speeches were made from places like this. Oh, very reminiscent of all various regimes around the world. And this is a photograph of the man himself, I assume. This is the military barracks in Santiago de Cuba. It's now a variety of schools. But in 1953, Castro and a little band of brothers decided to attack this and begin a revolution. But with it being carnival, some of the attackers got lost and were late for the attack. Anyway, it came to nothing, and they managed to break in, but when they got to the armory, hoping to get a load of weapons, the armory was empty because all the weapons had been taken out to accommodate the army band who were taking part in this carnival. Anyway, Castro and his little band of brethren were all hounded and chased up into the mountains, and he eventually captured. Some of them were taken back to these barracks here where they were tortured and executed. And what they call killed on active service. But Castro was fortunate. The bloke who caught him took him to the police station where they recognised him, so they couldn't torture and kill him and say he'd been killed on active service. And he was eventually taken to court, where, being a lawyer, of course, he made his own defence. So it could all have turned out very, very differently. Yeah. I think he served time in prison and then he was released, and the whole thing started again later on. So this is the entrance to Santiago de Cuba harbour, and during the wars of the Spanish fleet was hauled up here, and the American fleet was waiting outside, and the Spanish fleet were given the order to leave. And of course, coming through this channel here on my left, you can only come through one at a time, and the Americans just picked them off, and that was the end of it. The Spanish were out. And Cuba gained its independence. I think it was about 1903, something like that, thereabouts anyway, the early 1900s. There's some lovely beaches down there. In 20 years' time, they're probably all covered in hotels and sun lounges. Well, we are at this fort at the entrance to Santiago de Cuba harbour, built by the Spaniards in the 17th century. It's a monumental lump. Designed by some Italian chappie. Lots of cannon lying around, rusting away, and with some new racks to put the cannon on. The cannon haven't yet been put on them yet. Probably need a look at the size of these things here. You need a good gang of heavyweights to hike this thing onto there. This is a view from lower down, or higher up, is it? I'm not sure. Now this is lower down. That nice beach there, the sun just coming across. That light and shade there on the greenery is rather nice. It's well forested. No, it's an island or peninsula, but anyway, this is the Santiago harbour. There's obviously a big oil depot there, and I suspect that might be some kind of power station. Those are the red and white chimneys generating electricity. There doesn't seem to be anything coming out of the chimneys. This is typical Cuba. Skoda, which is quite new. Don't know what that is, but it's massive. The size of that. This is a Plymouth, and right at the end a Moskvich. I must be nearly as old as I am. I'm very much into bonnet decoration, and this has still got the original wheels, and is obviously halfway through a body respray, or maybe that's it, grey and white and orange. So this is the oldest house in Cuba. It was built in the early 16th century for the first governor of Cuba, a chap called Velazquez, followed not long after Christopher Columbus. It's got this nice little courtyard with a cistern in the middle. It's not actually a well. What they did was they channeled water off the roof into this, and there's obviously a big underground storage arrangement. It's essentially a museum about furniture. Different styles of furniture over the centuries. It's very much in the Moorish style from the southern part of Spain, the Granada, Seville, Cordoba region. But most of it is renovation. These wonderful cedarwood screens. Inside the museum, nearly everything has been, in the first 3 rooms, has been brought from Spain. It wasn't until the 17th century they started making their own. This is it looks like a chipped plate, but this bit is the where your chin or your neck rested, and it was for shaving with. A shaving bowl. I didn't think they shaved, I thought they just had great big beards, these fellas. But anyway, there we are, that's what it is, this lady tells me. So there you can see the balcony with again the cedarwood screens, and then from the cedarwood screens you've got this again this restored ceiling, cedarwood ceilings as well. The mahogany was used essentially for furniture, but heavy dense wood. It's like Chippendale used mahogany, which came from Cuba. And the sort of use of stained glass. Above the door opening. So this is the central square in Santiago. It's obviously a Wi-Fi hotspot. As usual, everybody here on their phones. This is the cathedral, which was built in 1522 and suffered from earthquakes and goodness knows what else, and was restored in 1922. That's the ancient house which we've just been in, belonging to Velazquez. And this is the municipal building with the Cuban flag flying on top. Again, it's a restoration, having suffered from earthquakes and hurricanes. And this great big place over here is the Hotel Casa Granada, which appears in Hemingway's book Our Man in Havana. They stayed in some nice places, these blokes, Hemingway included. Another little corner with a blue and white, a little toned down actually, this one. So there is on the hotel there this nice veranda, balcon. This is a bus. This is coming down here is a Cuban bus, and it does seem to have some nice sort of Art Deco chandeliers in it. Whether they're original or what, I don't know. But that's what they look like from this distance. So there's a different perspective from this balcony in this hotel, and the noisy kind of place. Any more of these big jalopies. They're all taxis, they're all waiting for custom. Well, this is another view of the main square in Santiago de Cuba. It was covered in trees at one time, but the recent hurricanes have just decimated them. And a nice view of some buildings there, that sort of peach coloured thing over there. And one there with a nice colonnade. No idea what that is. And this Casa Granada Hotel of Hemingway fame. Well, it's a very, very pleasant place. This building here is supposed to be the Casa de las Trovas, supposed to be the source of all Cuban music. They give it absolutely rock all here. So we are in Santiago. We'll go for a trip down the bay. It takes about an hour. This is our happy band of pirates. It's very nice. It's there's a lovely breeze blowing, so it's very, very pleasant. Jigging for probably for squid. He's got a line in each hand. He's just looking up and watching me, just jigging it up there. Island, it's quite windy. I don't know if you'll be able to hear me with the wind noise, but lots of disintegrating concrete piers with what was at some time, I suppose, these have obviously been loos at some time. I suspect they're probably still loos where that brick place is there. Just drop straight into the sea, feed the fish. At the fort at the entrance to the harbour, which is really narrow. There's a great big cruise ship in here. How they got this big cruise ship through this gap, I don't know. So we're bringing it to roll round now on the way back. Everybody went panic a little bit. Look of horror on everybody's face. these big waves coming in behind us. That's pretty impressive. Ooh.